something that with what he's saying now that I've really tried to internalize what he's talking about and drawing lessons from like wrestling and stuff, it really does, because we always like to add complexity. Even like when I'm coaching younger cats that are really, really good, they always want to learn the fancy moves, like the super duck, the, this 360, whatever. And most of the time when you get into like the MLB, they take off your glove and you hit grounders, right? You catch grounders and what I'm bringing up is it's always coming back down to the basics, and the basics in this business is talking to more people about what you do, right? Reaching out to people, right? And seeing if you can provide value. That is the basics of the business. You can add complexity as you get better, right? But if you're constantly reminding yourself of the basics, just as the pros do in sports, you have to continue to do that. And so I think that's what's really important, kind of what he's talking about.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back to the Pursuit of Property podcast. Today, we are sitting across the table from two absolute studs. One of them we've had on the podcast at least one time and got crazy, awesome feedback. Our boy, D Miracle, D Money at Dillionaire, sitting across the table from us today. And we also have the godfather of Miracle Realty, the man, the myth, the legend, Beau Miracle, sitting with us today as well. How are you guys doing, gentlemen?
Doing good. Thanks for having us. We're excited to be here.
Mr. Beau, we have not had you on, but you've been in the business. The thing I have always said about you when I've had people ask, because they know that you and I know each other, they're always like, hey, that Beau Miracle guy, is he legit? And I'm like, that guy's a silent killer. He doesn't go around telling everybody what he's doing, but he's doing stuff. And so Dylan sent us a text out of the blue. This was 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And he goes, hey, and I didn't read the text all the way through. I was driving, right? I had started it, and then I was like, wait, and I threw it on the car real quick. And it's like, hey, we should have this guy on, and he's had this, and he's done that, and he's done this. And I texted Beau back using the voice chat, and I was like, how did you meet this guy? And he goes, dude, it's my dad. And I was like, what? So there's some stories we wanted to ask you about when you got into the business and kind of leading up to today. And we wanted to have you share your perspective on real estate. You obviously run Miracle Realty out of Madera, right?
Yes.
And how long have you been doing that?
So I'll do short stories because he'll cut me off. So since 2011. So it was originally formed by my uncle and my dad in 1976. So in the heyday, my uncle had Clovis, Sanger, Fresno office, and then my dad branched out into Madera. They had about 65 agents at that time. So to give perspective, in this era, that would probably be about having 150 agents.
That's a big office. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So I took over in 2011. I think maybe right before Dylan moved back from Michigan to move in with me, to when I basically took sole custody. But at that point, it was a different time. So I've been doing it for about a little over 13 years.
What did you do prior to real estate?
So I was in the Marine Corps from 99 to 2003. I was involuntary extended in 2002. I was supposed to get out 6 months prior. And anyhow, they gave me a vacation to Iraq. So we went to basically Kuwait. We were on standby for 2 months.
Was it a paid vacation or?
I was kind of paid, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I would say it was paid. It was beautiful desert, no beach. So anyhow, I had done that. And then I got out of the Marine Corps, moved back to Michigan. That's where my mom's side of the family's from. That's where he was made. And then, going forward from that, I got into loans. I was basically a cold caller for a loan company. They called me a loan officer, but my job was just to call people all day long, like 150 people a day, and get applications, and then we'd get paid commission. So kind of like Wall Street, kind of. It was kind of a corrupt thing that was going on. They went out of business later on, but I didn't know any better, so I did that.
Coming from the Marine Corps, this was your first job out of the military, right?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So I didn't know anything. I mean, I actually got hired, and everything on my my resume rather said like personal trainer, blah blah blah, because I've always had an appreciation for fitness, even though I've gotten a little hefty these days. But
it's bulk season. It's bulk season.
It's been bulk season, let me tell you.
Just an extended one.
Yeah, this motherfucker said he ate Kit Kats yesterday. I'll be like, I ate the Snickers bar. You know? So,
That's right.
So, but graduated into basically cars. I sold cars. That was a rough road in the very beginning, but I found a super appreciation for that. And I did that for about 3.5 years. Eventually did finance management for the car dealership, sales management. The market at that time kind of tanked. So that was like 2006, 2007. It was just kind of the real estate crash, car sales kind of dipped. So I had some bad habits that I had picked up along the way.
To add some color real quick, he wasn't just selling cars. He was one of the top 100 salesmen in Michigan.
Oh, yeah, I was.
Yeah, he was a beast.
Yeah, that adds up.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, so I mean, it was kind of a interesting road with car sales, but I read a book. Joe Girard was one of the guys my sales manager told me to read on. He had sold about, I just told this story yesterday, but he sold about 12,000 cars in 14 years. So to give you perspective of that, he was selling more than dealerships as an individual. So he had like a whole team and stuff like that. But anyhow, I read the book, followed and shadowed one of the couple of the top guys at our dealership at that time, and then I got to the point where I was just selling about 20, 25 cars, 30 cars a month, which was pretty good.
Yeah, that's really good.
So market dipped. I had some habits that I picked up along the way. Car salesmen pick up some pretty good habits that aren't good. And so anyways, I thought by moving back to California, I'd alleviate from those habits. And I took those habits with me because I was the problem. Eventually cleaned up a little bit, and then my dad passed away, and I took over Miracle Realty. So
wow. Mm-hmm. I hear a theme of like you've started kind of always at that entry level position, and then you elevate fairly quickly into a higher management position and running a team. Have you always been that way, or?
I think that, my son has a lot of the characteristics. I think it's a little bit of a gene. Some might say and argue it's not, but I think entrepreneurship, or just that visionaries, if you will, kind of is something that is in you, or it's not. You can work on it. It is a muscle. But I think that the military definitely ingrained some type of leadership stuff in me, because I did love the military. It was pretty badass, to be honest. I was a good Marine. I did get into some trouble while in the Marine Corps, as a lot of us do.
Yeah.
A bored Marine's a dangerous Marine. So when you have downtime, you fuck up. So anyhow, I learned a lot in the military. Some of my best buds are in the military, just like what you guys have formulated with Dylan. The camaraderie is just untouchable. It's kind of like going to college of hard knocks. Right. So you kind of learn a different value of life a little bit, and a different leadership tactic. So I was really regimented. Even when I got Dilly over here to move with me, I told him grass isn't greener on the other side. He thought
there was no grass on the other side. I didn't know that.
He thought it was peaches and cream going to come over here, but lo and behold, I'm very regimented in some aspects, and I did run the roost kind of militant, if you will. So the little motherfucker had some stuff to overcome when he moved in with me, but it worked out.
Well, and can we talk about too, so you said you left Michigan, came over to California. Obviously a lot of our listeners, people who are tuning in, are newer to real estate, either just getting started or maybe have been in for a little bit and just experiencing the issues and the growing pains that is being an entrepreneur in the real estate space. It sounds like you just had to dive in head first. I mean, let alone getting a start in real estate, but you had to immediately jump in, now run a brokerage with no prior real estate experience. Can you talk through what that looked like, just getting started with Miracle Realty and diving in head first like that?
How transparent do you want me to be?
We want to share the real story, because there's a lot of guys that listen to the podcast who have big goals, and they need to know that they're possible, but they also need to know what it takes.
Keep it a buck.
Huh?
Keep it a buck.
Okay. What's that mean?
Keep it 100.
Okay.
Like 100% honest.
I'll keep it 1,000 then. Okay. So basically, I was making some life decisions that I needed to change. I needed to change some habits. So I decided I want to become bail bonds. I wanted to do personal training, and I was going to get my real estate license. Work for my father was my goal. I passed my real estate exam it took me 3 times, some more, some less, but I took 3. So anyways, I finally passed my test February 9th, my goal. It was a weird time right then. The Madera Association was they're almost at the brink of bankruptcy. The Fresno Association, I mean, everybody was just, it was a trying time. So not a very good time to get into real estate, some would say. Short sale, foreclosure boom. But anyways, my goal was to work for my dad and be mentored. I passed my real estate exam on the 9th, and then I found my father dead on the 21st because he got ill probably 3 days after I passed my real estate exam. And then it just, out of nowhere, it just kind of got real bad. And one day I walked in his bedroom after I was going to take him to the VA. There he was on the ground, passed away. So I tried to give him CPR, but he was gone. So Dad had 3 different relationships, which means 7 different children from 3 different relationships. He had no trust, no will, which means you go to probate.
Yeah.
We do some probate sales nowadays, right? So we know what's up with that. So it wasn't fun. A lot of jealousy in the family. But lo and behold, my dad's brother, who was like his best friend, the one that started Miracle Realty, he had some faith that I could make it work. And Dylan made me post it the other day. But one thing I think I had was some balls, because I believed in the legacy of Miracle Realty. It had been around for a long time. And so I couldn't weather through the fact of not knowing to try, but I had some huge hurdles, right? I didn't know shit. I didn't have any money. I asked a couple brokers that knew my dad personally. They asked the same question. Do you got capital? No. Do you got experience? No. They're like, you should go work for London Properties or Century 21, go learn the experience and come back, and then start it all over. And I was just like, man, it just didn't feel right, So she's like, do you have anything else that you think you could bring to the table? And I was like, I got big balls. So, you know what I mean? So
I love that.
So yeah. So I mean, and that's honestly what I did say. I mean, full transparency with you guys. It was very difficult. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I don't know how explicit I can be, but I'm just real.
No, you're welcome to say whatever.
Okay, cool. So, so I talked to my uncle. My brothers were definitely not wanting me to take over Miracle Realty, but my dad was a sole proprietor. So when he passed away, everything ceased. So the property management, the trust account that he had for that, everything ceased. We couldn't issue funds. We had to go through the probate process to unwind all that. So I literally had to start all over from scratch. I couldn't keep the Miracle name if I was going to reopen Miracle Realty per the DRE because I was licensed and I wasn't a broker. I needed a broker. So it wasn't like brokers were waving their hands to just take over an office that fucking didn't have anything going on. So I did find someone, because I had a lonely agent, Anna, who's with me today still. She's my longest road dog. She was licensed and did loans prior to with my dad, but worked for this gentleman named Alfred Razel. He was 81 years old, to give you perspective. So he hadn't sold any real estate, but he did loans. And so he was my dad's homie. I said, hey, man, this is what my plan is. I need a broker. Would you be my broker? And I'll give you 5% of whatever I do. All I know to do is sell shit, and I'll try, and I'll pay 5%. And he's like, yeah, just have coffee made on Fridays when I sign checks. Cool. So I went. We called it Miracle and Razel. I knew I needed to get my broker's license, so I just kind of started the process. 11 months later, we closed our first short sale because it took 11 months.
Wow. Yeah.
We had no money. I don't even know how. Today, if you ask me, Beau, how the fuck did you do it? I don't know. I had no money, dude. Like, I had some money from the veteran stuff, and I was going to school. And then right around that time, I made the best decision of my life, and that's getting sole custody of Dylan. He moved back. That was some trying pains, just because, he's always been my son. It wasn't like he was just a 12-year-old that walked out the womb.
Right.
But, it was there was some distance in the relationship. I was in the military and stuff. And so we had some groundwork to do between us. But I think thus far we've done good.
To add some color to kind of the situation, too, when he took over, and then about a year later is when I moved in with him. At that time, there was a mattress in the corner, because we lived in the office, because at the time, we had no money. I didn't know that because I was 12, but we had to live in, half of the office was office, and then the other half was the house. And so my bed for a little bit was in the corner of like the living room on just the mattress and the floor because we didn't have money for furniture and stuff. I graduated and he set me up a bedroom, and then that was kind of like, that was the situation. I didn't even know that we had AC. Like there was a time when there was like a noise over like the house for like 2 hours. It's like, what's going on? It was like 114 outside. I was like, what's going on? Like, is there like a search going on or something? And my dad's like, no, that's AC. I was like, we have AC? I hadn't known. 2 years I didn't know that. So just to add some color to kind of the situation.
I never turned on the AC because that motherfucker sounded like it was going to fucking blow up the house. But and then also the PG&E bill was so outrageous when you'd run it because it was so old and we had a shake roof. So there was definitely some trying times. So I hit the floor running, guys. That's kind of what happened. I was driving a Cobalt Chevy with a big ass dent in the side with roll down windows.
No hubcaps.
No hubcaps. I'd roll up to appointments and like, oh, we're waiting for the owner of Miracle Realty to show up. Yeah, that's me. That's me, guys. And so I've never really been like the fancy dressed kind of type of guy. So I just show up as is, you know, and that's how I do it. I have an award-winning personality, some would say. No, so but that's what I did. About a month and a half or a year and a half into it, that's where I was telling you about the lawsuit. We hired a handyman that my dad used to use prior to, so I didn't know much about it. I thought he was a good guy. He was in the military. I didn't know his background. Lo and behold, he was on parole, I guess, and he was taking pictures of little kids in the houses that he was fixing for us, and so we got sued for $5 million from some attorneys down the street from you guys that are pretty predominant here in the Central Valley. So didn't have any money to hire an attorney, so good old Beau Miracle represented himself for a 3-year lawsuit, $5 million. 4 days of jury selection. The CBS 47 News, after a couple documentaries that they had tried to do and get my face on camera, which I never did get my face on camera, they decided to settle. 4th day into jury selection, so we settled for $50,000, and that was the biggest and most. That was the best way for me to learn because I was so scared of someone fucking me over or suing me in real estate because I didn't know what I was doing and I didn't have a mentor. At that time, there wasn't like we have what we got today. I mean, this community that we got today, you guys, I'm telling you, I'm a little old, but I'm not super old, but it's badass, right? In the investment space, and even in some of the realtors are pretty badass these days, you know, some not so good, but you know, that's how the nature of it goes. But, you know, but the biggest lesson I learned, I was scared of getting sued, you know, and here was a situation that I was out of my control. They sued me and everybody that was attached to me just because they thought there were some big pockets. And I was like, $5 million, you guys want me to, you know, send you an IOU or what's up? Wrong guy. So anyways, at the very, very end, I reached out to a guy that owns some of the gyms here in Fresno. Pretty big guy, owns Valley Fitness. He's a good friend of mine. And I said, dude, I think I need an attorney, bro. Yeah. I was like, I'm getting eaten up in these mediations. They're just like fucking telling me like that shit doesn't matter. They're telling me that the kids were jacked up, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, the wife left the guy and jumped out of the lawsuit because she was getting beat and raped by her husband. You don't think that maybe has a perspective on why the kids messed up, not the pictures? And he's like, no, that's irrelevant. I was like, okay, I need an attorney, dude. Like this is not going to be good in trial for me to be doing this. And so they decided to settle. You know, the strike of God, the universe, or whatever the case might be, just woke me up. And that was the best thing that did, because that just put a fire in my ass, because I was ready to work under the table for the rest of my life because I was going to go down like the Titanic, you know what I mean? And then it was like a revelation, dude. And then I just, you know what, if that's the worst thing that can happen to me, you know, the thing that I learned is you can take everything away from me, but you can't take my ability to do it all over again. You know what I mean?
God, that's so sick.
Yeah. So
I've heard that story 1,000 times.
Clips.
Yeah.
I've never seen this side of Beau. Beau's always quiet, sits there, listens. You're always analyzing. I don't ever really hear you talk a lot. Like whenever we hang out, it's kind of shorter. Like, hey, how are you? Help on this, help on that. You're always super humble, but dude, like you've done some badass shit and you don't tell anybody. Why is that?
Nobody really asks, you know. So usually it comes out in spurts, you know what I mean? I would love to share my story to others. There's people that have been in my intimate sphere that I've spoken this to, or they've been through it with me. He was through it with me. I mean, I'll give you one little example, right?
Yeah.
We basically had. So during that lawsuit, it was very crazy, you guys, because they were fucking after a guy that was basically a pedophile. Yeah. Right. So he had a warrant for his arrest. I mean, this was big shit. So anyways, the sheriff came with a fucking basically a search warrant to my office, and I was like, "Whoa, dude! Like, I'm not the criminal. What the heck? I mean, they had the SWAT team, the dogs, but I have my dogs, right? So I have a Rottweiler, who at that time was in his prime, you know. So, anyways, they kind of kicked the door down. They kind of were kind of disrespectful, to be honest. Like, hey, we're here. We can seize your business. We can seize all your assets. And I was like, well, I ain't got much, bro. I'm renting the building. I don't own shit. Take what you got. But why are you coming after me if you already got the bad guy, right? Like, I don't understand. So anyways, I had to go pick up Dilly Willie from school over here. I picked him up, and she kind of said, the sheriff that was talking to me, that was trying to be my friend a little bit, but still like in a corrupt way. She was like, sometimes the news will, they'll get wind of this. And I was like, oh man, this is gonna destroy me. So I went
he goes 0 dark 30. So anytime there's like a situation, he goes into soldier mode, and I get in the car Marine immediately. Mode. He just looks at me. He's like, I need you to listen up. And I was like, oh shit.
Oh yeah. So I did until it was like,
and you were how old?
He was like 12.
Yeah, 12 or 13.
Yeah. So he was like, what the fuck? I was like, listen, this is what's going to happen, dude. I'm going to take you to the office. You're going to jump the fence. I said, you're going to fucking tell everybody to stay the fuck in there.
Close the blinds.
Close the blinds. Don't answer the phones. Don't do anything. I'm going to drive around the block a couple times to kind of analyze the situation. And lo and behold, he did all that. CBS 47 was posting up with their tripod across the street, getting ready to fucking do film. They went and knocked on the door, and they were trying to get me on camera. And they didn't, thankfully. But, I mean, not that would have probably been... In my mind, I was just like, if they have a face to the name, I'm screwed,
Yeah.
And so, anyways, they didn't get it, but they talked about Moonlighter, the handyman Moonlighter, and they did this whole document on us. And lo and behold, every bad situation kind of phases out, to be honest, right?
There's always sunshine at the end of a storm, right?
Yeah, there was definitely sunshine. So I mean, but I just had this weird intuition, you guys, and I reacted, and I'm thankful for that situation to have it happen like that. But it was definitely stressful for 3 years, not knowing what your future is going to be like. You're in a position to where you didn't really do anything wrong. You were just thought you were a normal member of society and helping the community, and boom. Lawsuit.
What happened after the lawsuit? Like, did business just all of a sudden boom?
I wouldn't say all of a sudden, boom. Like all of a sudden, Beau Miracle had
I want to hear a come up story here.
No, I mean, I would say I came up. You know what I mean? Like I owned a gym, CrossFit gym, and I made some really good relationships, and I just started doing everything. So at this point, you couldn't hold me back. I was getting involved in the community. We were doing pomegranate festivals, Fresno home shows, Relay for Life. I mean, we were just out there. So, and then we just had a small team. It was me, Eric, and Anna, who I'm grateful for. Eric's with me today. He used to be my property manager. I told him, hey, I went to him. He got sued with me, and he was actually on volunteer. I wasn't even paying him at the time. I was just making him lunch as a trade.
Wow.
And he had lost his job because it was weird times. And so, anyways, I said, listen, I'll make you food, bro. And like, I'll cook for you or whatever. And as we get money or whatever, I'll try to pay you, because he just got fired from a job that he had for a long time because they went bankrupt. And so he was a bean counter. That's what he kind of did, And so he fucking jumped on property management, and he kind of likes challenges, and he's a very articulate dude, but man, he just fucking took on the challenge. We went from 5 properties that we managed. He built it up to about 60, 70. Then he got into real estate sales as well, and he didn't think he was going to be able to do it, and I just deposited into him, and I just really believed in him, and I treat him as a partner today, because he's been there with me since the day, and so anyways, we have 160 properties now that we maintain and manage, HOA, and we've grew the team. Some of those people that came to me organically, I never recruited.
He's actually kind of pushed people away. He's like, oh, we're not recruiting. They're like,
I was like, no, bro, we're not hiring. They're like, isn't it like 1099? No, fuckers, it's 1098. You're not here. No, so
there's something though that, because he is humble, and there's something that I think that people are drawn to him, because there's something, I mean, I've even got this from being his kid, is like, he's so committed and determined. Like he's going somewhere. And I think a lot of people kind of gravitate toward that kind of energy, and people want to be in there with that. And my dad, even just with the story of with Eric, he's like always bartering and trading in terms of like, how can I add value to you? Like, I'm going to give you whatever you need to be successful. I'm going here. Like, if you join me, I'll make sure I can do it. I might not have much, but I'm going to give you something. And I think that's something that I don't even know if I've ever even really told you, but I've really tried to, I guess, embody that giving approach that he has, because I've seen him like do that time and time again when he had nothing, but he was able to provide something of value. So
you've done it, because I see Cade, and I can say that openly, that we see, because you post so much, people will literally hit us up and be like, who's this Dylan guy? I want to reach out to him. And I'm like, reach out to him. Like you, even in a short period of time, you've built up a strong persona, you know, in the community. And I think a lot of people are picking up on it, and I can see where it's coming from as well. You know, not to take away from any of the hard work that you've done, but I can see that you had an example to help lead the way. So that's really cool to see.
Yeah. And I mean, and kind of going back, and I appreciate, you know, his feedback and love for what I've done, you know, and there's just, again, it wasn't easy. And as far as up and coming, I'll give you a little example of what I was doing. So Anmar, we all know Anmar, right? He was going to my CrossFit gym. And so he was a cool guy. He has great energy. But we started talking. He was getting into the appraiser game, right? This is 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, you've got to meet this guy, Jason Pritchard. So you already know where I'm going to go, right? I was like, yeah, dude, like, you know, I'm whatever. I'll meet an investor, you know? And he's like, no, bro, like this guy, he's really up and coming, blah, 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 blah. So Jason was just like humbly willing to go meet at Starbucks in Madera one day. And we had a conversation, and I didn't even know where that conversation was going to go. And Jason, I don't know if he knows this, just like he says, I don't know some of the things that he just told of me. Jason was just one of those guys, one in a million. He came, he had his notebook at the time, yellow notebook, I'll never forget it. He's like, hey, what can we do, you guys? What's up? You know, like, you know, this is what I'm doing. I'm only doing he was doing about 60 to 70 flips. So he was just kind of getting started. Drove his big old lifted truck at the time. And he was only about a year or two in.
Right.
Like not even like, so, yeah. And so at that time, he really inspired me. But my point to bringing that up, aside from me just having a great love and appreciation for Jason, I seen him grow, and I didn't take action. He gave me all the tools and all his resources then, because he was so excited then, and he still is excited today.
Yeah.
And if I would have fucking taken a step like what he was telling me to do, we would have been in a different conversation today. But what he did give me is something to know that, wow, this dude's just so willing to just give you everything he's got. You know what I mean? And in the real estate community, as a realtor, it wasn't like that. It's kind of like, oh, commissions, yeah. Or I would get paid, you know.
Yeah, it was very tight-lipped.
Yeah, but Jason was like, dude, here's it all, right? Let's partner up. Let's do that. And he was willing to JV back in the day. And I told Dylan, and he still doesn't know this, but dude, I've been like desperate to try to get this dude a deal, just because I want to do a deal with Jason so bad. Because the one deal that I did give him, we wholesaled it to him. He still brings it up that he lost money on it. I'm like, oh my God, this guy only remembers me for bringing him a fucked up wholesale where I made money and this dude lost money on it. I think he might have made a little bit, but I felt so horrific about that. But you know, again, it's one of those things, kind of going back to what you said, is I stayed in my lane. I kept on doing the things in Madera because I was told by a wise person once that they told me, hey man, if you're in a community place, be the community, right? Like, just be the person that when people think the fucking word real estate, right, sure, they're going to think of Beau Miracle. And that's what I've really, really done a good job of, because you've given me credit. I mean, I was even telling you and Jason yesterday, you guys, I might make a miracle on this one that we're going to do together. And you're going to be like, Beau knows Madera. Or like, fuck this guy. Thought he knew Madera, you know?
I've had that same thought before when somebody asks.
Yeah. So, but again, it's been those types of things. But now, you know, when I look at it now, you know, I've matured. I've gotten some experience under my belt, and you know, we're a small but mighty team at Miracle Realty. People are trying to recruit us, and I think that I take that as a compliment, because you know, we're number 37 in the rankings of 1,000 brokerages, and those are your Iron Keys.
And you're a fraction of their size.
We're 8 people. So, you know what I mean? So we're doing a good job, you know what I mean? And we got a great team. And I tell these guys all the time, I don't need 100, bro. I need 5 fucking soldiers that are willing to do the damn thing. And if we can do that shit, we'll make shit happen. You know what I mean? And that's where we're at with Miracle Realty. Yeah.
Well, dude, and I want to rewind too, because I think it's an important point. Hindsight is always 20/20, right? Like you mentioned when you first met with Jason, you know, everything, the giving and the value was given, right? And if we just would have taken action then, right, we'd be in a different spot now. But I think looking at it from the perspective of, dude, I think it's an achievement in and of itself to have taken any action at all, even if it took, months or years after that initial meeting. Both you guys have taken fucking action. I mean, we rewind to your podcast episode a while back. One of the best amounts of feedback we'd ever gotten, dude. Like, what a fucking amazing story, right? Of just actually taking the action, putting in the consistency, struggling, putting in the work, and then seeing that first scratch of success, but still doubling down on all that other stuff to push through. Like, dude, you guys, like you said, dude, when I think of Madera, boom, Miracle Realty, like when I think of absolute studs, absolute killers, people who are so giving and take fucking action, and I know that they are absolutely silent fucking killers flying under the radar and doing things the right way, I think of you guys, man. So, dude, you guys, I just want to give you guys freaking credit for all the things you guys are doing, because I think you guys are absolutely disrupting the real estate game right now.
We appreciate that. I don't know if I'd call us too silent, because if you get us in a room together, we're not stopping talking.
Yeah. And you gave me some credit for being quiet, but our relationship's grown too, Scott, and I have a huge appreciation for you.
The feeling's mutual.
And Cade, right? Like, I remember those specifically with you. You met us at Starbucks.
At Starbucks outside.
Hey, man, and your guys' story is unique too, you know what I mean? And I think that's, and Jason's been a part of that, right, for all of us. Mm-hmm. And just kind of going back to it, the one thing that I absolutely know is in this business is relationships, man. And I'm constantly trying to figure out, and I'm an awkward guy sometimes. I know multiple times I've had struggles trying to talk to you, because I don't know if I'm just feel like the old guy. Sometimes I'm being cool or it's just awkward. But my point is as it's kind of matured and there's more water deposited there or grown or whatever the fuck you want to say, it's become better.
I want to touch on a point, because there's something that I've kind of seen underlying in like all of our experience in real estate. I don't think anybody would naturally describe any of us as salespeople. I don't think any of us come off as like the traditional super clean cut, wearing a nice suit, showing up in a fancy car, shaking your hand, high pressure, anything like that. You come from the Marines. Dylan, you were in wrestling. Cade and I were both in sports as well. Cade's family's obviously more in education. My family's in tech. None of us came from families that necessarily like groomed us to be some like ideal salesperson, right? I'm just curious, how has it been in the sales world? Have you found a lot of success just being yourself, or have you tailored yourself a lot to find success? I will say for myself, I have found being myself has led to a lot more success, and being comfortable in my own skin as somebody who is nerdy, somebody who is very analytical, who makes a lot of offhand comments. Like, my loud mouth has gotten me into a lot of trouble, but I've also done a lot of business because people know exactly what I think and feel right when I think and feel it, right? How have you guys found that? Because, I mean, you speak openly. I mean, you curse like a sailor like us. Some people are turned off by that, but I think a lot of people find that as genuine.
Well, and I am who I am, right? And not to say that I can't grow and try to become a better person and try to really make better deposits. I mean, I even been telling Dylan, like, to try to be a better father and to be a better communicator to him. I mean, I'm constantly trying to learn, right? And so, the cliche thing is, let's work out, let's read books. It's all true. Surround yourself with good people. It's all true. But as far as sales, I was telling one of my realtors yesterday actually, it's kind of a bad word, right? We're educators, right? We're resourceful guys. We're value givers. We're service providers, right? So in the word sales, I think of car sales, and everybody hates the guy with sunglasses that comes and says, "Hey, what brought you to the lot today?" Well, no shit, motherfucker, I want to buy a car, right? But it's not like everybody's just going to gravitate to us and be like, "I want that house." Right? It's something that we've got to go educate them. We've got to go find them. We've got to groom them. We've got to make little deposits. We've got to give them little scenarios. We've got to give them different resources. We got to put them in different directions. So sales is value.
Yeah.
Right? Like in the investment space, in the open market space, like it's just value, because we're selling ourselves. So yeah, do I want to be the guy? I mean, you know how many times people have told me, "Bro, you should clean up your act and clean up," and bro, I don't want to work with those people. I want to work with people who want to work with me because that's the relationship that I want. And I've groomed my business. And I was telling him, I think a couple days ago, I'm picky, dude. I'm gonna interview you just like you interview me. If we don't align, then fuck you. I don't need problems. I just want to help. You know what I mean? And if I can help you achieve your goals, because it goes back to the cliche thing that we all use, we're problem solvers in all aspects. And that's not sales, that's value, right? We've got to find value, and we've got to be able to extract that information from people to help them. And usually when we do, we get a little commission or we make a little money, right? So it's just a bonus, and it's that go-giver mentality that I really try to bring to the table. I was listening to it on the way here, The Go-Giver. Great book, you know. Jason Pritchard sent us a box of little goodies, and it was all books, and Go-Giver was one of them. And so, you know, for me, sales, again, I've been in sales for a long freaking time in all different ways. And the best one that I've loved is doing sales in real estate, because we help people buy and sell real estate, but we're not sales people.
Yeah, I think the different. I mean, I'm a young buck in comparison to him. I've always called him Master Splinter, you know, but I think
I liked Godfather better.
Master Splinter, dude, Master Splinter is cool. He doesn't understand. Master Splinter is cool. He's like, I don't want to be old.
He is dope, dude. He looks kind of like all like fucked up.
Yeah, kicks all the turtle's ass. Anyways, I make it sound like I'm a big neat turtle fan. I'm not. But anyways, the thing I've learned, I think, with like my greenness in the business is there's a difference, because when I first started, it was a lot about being a salesperson, and I was just trying to eat, and so I was trying to sell every person I talked to because I just wanted money. And I think the transition that you make is you change the intention from trying to sell to providing value, and then you throw your boomerang out and you don't know when it's coming back, but when it does come back, it's bearing a lot of fruit. And I think that's the difference, because you go in with the intention of providing value and understanding that you can walk away from the deal because you know where your intention is, and so you can sleep well at night. And I think it's a difference between being a salesperson and a sales professional, and I think that value is the nugget there.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Well, we were talking about it before the podcast about kind of the turmoil with real estate and wholesaling and realtors. There's a lot of lawsuits going because money is getting tight for a lot of people.
Sure.
And what you just said, I think, is really important. Like Cade and I, we just read through that, you know, addendum that we got sent by our brokerage, and we're already doing everything that they're saying except for one insurance piece, which we're fine. We'll pay for and we'll be done. But that idea of there are people in the business who are here to just take advantage, and then we're the people who are here to actually bring help. Like all the things that you just said about giving value. I mean, we don't go into these situations to try to convince somebody to sell us a house at a discount. We go in with the intention of solving a legitimate problem, right?
100%.
I tell my wife this all the time. I see people at their worst day of their life very frequently, right? You're losing a house to a foreclosure and it's tomorrow. You're having the worst day of your life. My job isn't to come in here and high pressure you into some agreement that's not going to help you. My goal is to try to solve the problem so that you can sleep easy that night, right? And
there's a difference.
You know, if you're going in with that intention of providing value versus trying to get a sale, you're going to find that boomerang does come back. It may not come back every single time, but you may throw out, you know, a whole bunch of help. And then that one deal that does come back, it will make up for all those deals that didn't come back. And I think
100%.
The things that you're talking about, that idea of you're not there to be the car salesman and draw everybody to the same car to make the biggest commission. You're there to just figure out what actually needs to be solved.
Yeah.
And that pickiness comes from putting in that time of helping a lot of people. And you start to realize not every single person is somebody I can help. And like what you had mentioned, you interview those people. When they're interviewing you for the job, you're interviewing them for the job as well. I think that only comes when you get to that point where you're helping and you're not just looking at the dollar signs.
Something that we do that I think is recently, because we've just now, like in the last year, I've really kind of taken up this like father-son duo and really kind of embracing that. And I think something that's changed a little bit probably in the last 4 months, honestly, a big help to like Jason's community and things like that, and Dean's community. I think it's given us a different perspective on how to do business and stuff. We have the property management arm, the retail arm, the investor arm. And so we don't go into a lot of these meetings as trying to extract and try to make a deal. Then we go in, here's your options, right? This is what option 1 looks like. This is what option 2 looks like. This is what option 3. Given what you told us, what your problem is, we advise you that this is probably the option that's best fits you. At the end of the day, if none of these options work, we can walk away as friends. And I think that conviction and knowing that we're actually providing value is the difference of why we're getting these deals done, and why on Friday we're going to be doing a potential meeting to buy a flip and then also buy a potential seller finance deal, because we clearly outlined the options of what they had and understood. Like, we truly believe that we're going in with the guidance, and we said whether you use us or you don't, these are your options. So you should talk to people about these options if we're not the people that buy this from you. So
And it goes back to educating, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I feel like if you're not transparent, right, like you have commission breath.
Yeah.
And there's been times, I'll tell you guys, like one story that stands out with retail. This lady was like, she worked for my uncle. She was a broker. Older lady, had a mobile home. So we already know how that goes. It was in a mobile home park, 42 grand. It was outdated, blah, blah, blah. Wanted me to hook her up. So I gave her 5%, which means I'm not making dick, and that's okay. So anyways, lo and behold, I sell it, blah, blah, blah. The buyer's agent brings the buyer. There's all these repairs, blah, blah, blah. Cool.
Hardest deal of your life because you're making no money.
I close the deal. I leave there, right? I go to the gas station. Some guy kept like inching me forward, like, because the line was backed up. So I kind of brought my car forward, but I was already pumping gas, and the fucking thing broke. And I was like, what the fuck? And I didn't know they had like the emergency shut off thing. So I thought gas was going to go everywhere. But I was like, oh, that was kind of too easy that happened. So I went into the store and I was like, dude, I could have easily just rolled out. I don't want to be that guy. I broke your shit. He's like, oh, yeah, let me see your ID. Blah, 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 blah. $480. And he had like a stack of them. So it obviously happens a lot. And I was like, oh, fuck. So anyways, right? I made $800. I had to pay my E&O insurance, and I had to pay my TC. I made $7, right? And that's okay, because I got her sister. I got her aunt. Right, I got these other people, and the trickle effect, because I told her that story after we closed. Because I said, "Hey, followed up, how's things going?" She's like, "Great, thank you for everything." I said, "Did you know I made $7?" She's like, "You made $7? How?" And she's like, "You had to." I was like, I told her the story. She said, "Oh my gosh, I owe you one." And well, you don't really owe me one, but again, my point is I've been able to talk to my clients transparently and be who I am. Going back to what you're saying and everything that we're talking about today, when people are interested in getting in real estate, it's a crazy world, right? And things are always changing. Technology's changing, but the values don't.
Yeah.
The process doesn't. Right? The criteria, the activities don't change.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what a lot of people, because now social media and these beautiful podcasts that you guys are hosting, which I appreciate, saves me the money, and I can just show up and be like a star appearance. But, for me, for people that are getting into the real estate thing, I've been telling this guy for a long time, you can't have paralysis analysis. You can't overthink it. You can't try to go and buy every shiny penny getting started. You just got to do, right? Just go do what you're supposed to do, and that's move your feet one foot in front of the other and show up every day and be consistent, and it will compound.
Yeah. Something that with what he's saying now, that I've really tried to internalize what he's talking about, and drawing lessons from like wrestling and stuff, it really does, because we always like to add complexity. Even like when I'm coaching younger cats that are really, really good, they always want to learn the fancy moves, like the super duck, the this 360, whatever. And most of the time when you get into like the MLB, they take off your glove and you hit grounders, right? You catch grounders, because, and what I'm bringing up is it's always coming back down to the basics. And the basics in this business is talking to more people about what you do, right? Reaching out to people, right? And seeing if you can provide value. That is the basics of the business. You can add complexity as you get better, right? But if you're constantly reminding yourself of the basics, just as the pros do in sports, you have to continue to do that. And so I think that's what's really important, kind of what he's talking about.
Yeah. And I'm going to get Dylan all excited right now. So Alex Hormozy, I was listening to a podcast with him and Ed Millett, and Alex says, because he says awesome catchphrases, right? And he's like, well, if you want to sell more of your product, you just got to get the whole world to know about your product. So make a really good fucking product and get the whole world, and you'll make more money. It's that simple. Well, damn. I guess I could retire now. But going to it again it is that simple. The more people you talk to, the more opportunities. You're what's that guy? The Peanut guy that's been like a motivational guy on the older dude. But he was like, you're 2,000 cold calls away from being a millionaire. You're one handshake away from changing your life. Your network is your net worth. I mean, all these little things is so true. Because if you only keep in this little bubble, you're never going to get outside of that bubble, right? So I need to meet the Scott Farrows that are killing it in the game, the Cades, right? I call it, what is your Cade motherfucking money makers?
We have to go look in the chat.
I have it in my shit. Dude, hold on, this is bugging me.
But no,
going back
what
to
he's saying, though, about your one handshake away, I mean, for him, it was Jason. For me, Jason was a little bit like, what is it? Oh, you have to say.
Cade, the motherfucking money magnet, Barrett, realtor/investor, baby. Let's get it.
I don't think my dad gets. Usually nicknames, I feel like, are supposed to be short.
Such a good
my
contact.
dad just uses a whole sentence to describe Cade. Just a novel every time he pulls out the contact. Yeah. But I think you really are one handshake away. And I think for my dad, given like the stage that they were in, it was Jason. For me, it was Jason. Jason was my first conversation in real estate, but he was so eons above that it didn't seem tangible. You guys were the handshake for me that honestly changed my life, and seeing you guys do it, because I've always felt like a black sheep, and I think that's why like the mindset, like you have to have that mindset when you are meeting people, because you don't know what opportunity lies beyond that handshake. And I think then you start to realize what is possible, and when it's peer to peer, it makes it a lot more achievable. So I just want to extend on that.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly it.
I'm leaving this podcast lit up, dude. I'm going to go sign a million freaking deals today. I feel great. Thank you guys for coming on. Dylan, do you want to make sure to share your contact info, Beau, you as well, on where people can get a hold of you guys, because you're going to get a lot of contacts this time.
Yeah, we'll see, hopefully. Do I look at the camera?
Yeah, do it.
You can find me at Dillionaire across all socials. On Instagram, it's Dillionaire321. On TikTok, it's just as it sounds. I post a lot of content. I tried to post a lot of content with, things we learn, podcast clips, whatever, things that we do to help you guys. And yeah, that's probably the best way to contact me. So feel free to reach out.
You can't reach me on Facebook because it was hacked. So you can reach me at Beau Mr. Broker Miracle on Instagram, or my phone number 559-930-4044. I won't answer, so text me, and then I'll have Dylan call you.
Boom. I love it. Well, dudes, thank you guys again for coming on. You guys are absolute studs, dropping nuggets, providing value. We appreciate you guys, not only as friends, as professionals, as brothers. So thank you guys for coming on and sharing all this with us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks.